If I asked you what kind of person you are, chances are you'd immediately reach for a label. Maybe you've taken the Myers-Briggs test so many times that you can recite your type from memory. Maybe you're convinced that your attachment style explains every relationship you've ever had. Or maybe you've spent an unhealthy amount of time reading astrology charts at 3 in the morning, trying to understand why you're attracted to emotionally unavailable people. Personality typing has become so normal that we barely question it anymore. Today, there are personality tests for almost everything. There are tests that claim to predict your ideal career path, the kind of partner you're compatible with, how you behave under stress, and even what kind of fictional character you're most similar to. Entire industries have been built around helping people answer one deceptively simple question: who am I? What's funny is that despite how modern all of this feels, humans have been obsessing over personality types for thousands of years. Long before therapists were talking about attachment styles, or companies were using personality tests during job interviews, philosophers, physicians, and Renaissance magicians were trying to figure out why people behave the way they do. And strangely enough, their answers weren't all that different from ours. 500 years ago, one of the most influential occult philosophers of the Renaissance believed that every human being could be understood through 4 elemental forces: fire, water, air, and earth. Depending on which element dominated your temperament, he believed he could predict how you think, how you respond to conflict, what kind of people you're naturally compatible with, and even what aspects of your personality needed to be cultivated or restrained. So let's go back 500 years and ask a Renaissance magician what kind of person you are. In the 16th century, magic was closer to philosophy than fantasy. It was an attempt to understand the hidden relationships between all things: the stars, nature, medicine, religion, mathematics, and human beings themselves. One of the most influential thinkers in this tradition was Henry Cornelius Agrippa. Agrippa was many things during his lifetime: a physician, lawyer, philosopher, theologian, military strategist, and occult scholar. In 1533, he published his most famous work, 3 books of occult philosophy, which attempted to organize the hidden laws that govern both the universe and humanity. To Renaissance thinkers, human beings weren't separate from nature. We were miniature versions of it. They described this idea through the phrase microcosm and macrocosm. In other words, everything that exists within the universe also exists within us in some form. If the universe has patterns, human beings must have patterns too. If nature consists of elemental forces, perhaps personality does as well. Let's start with fire, because fire personalities are usually the easiest to notice. You know that person who somehow manages to be doing 10 things at once? The friend who has a 5-year plan, 3 side projects, a gym routine, and enough ambition to make everyone else feel mildly inadequate just by existing? That's fire. Fire personalities are driven by action. They're ambitious, energetic, competitive, and constantly moving towards something. They tend to thrive when pursuing goals and often struggle when they're forced to remain stagnant for too long. Fire personalities are often natural leaders, but not necessarily because they enjoy being in charge. More often than not, they simply dislike waiting around for other people to make decisions. These are the kinds of people who might quit their jobs to start a business, move across the world for an exciting opportunity, or suddenly decide they're going to train for a marathon despite never having run more than 2 miles in their lives. Their strengths are obvious. They're courageous, motivated, and capable of inspiring others through their enthusiasm and determination. Their weaknesses are equally obvious. Fire personalities tend to struggle with impatience, impulsiveness, and burnout. They often have difficulty slowing down because slowing down feels suspiciously similar to doing nothing. Ironically, their greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses come from the exact same source: intensity. If fire wants to move to another country tomorrow because it sounds exciting, Earth would like everyone to sit down and discuss finances first. Earth personalities are practical, disciplined, and grounded. They're usually the people who have their lives organized before everyone else realizes they need to get organized. They like structure, routines, and long-term planning. If fire charges toward a goal, Earth quietly builds the foundation that makes success possible in the first place. Earth personalities are often dependable to a fault. They're the people others rely upon because they consistently show up, keep their promises, and think carefully before making important decisions. They're also probably the friend reminding everyone that their passport expires in 2 months before an international trip. The downside of Earth is that stability can easily become rigidity. Earth personalities sometimes become trapped in perfectionism. They overthink decisions, resist change, and occasionally spend so much time preparing for life that they forget to actually experience it. Their challenge isn't learning how to become more responsible. It's learning that sometimes growth requires uncertainty. Air personalities are driven by ideas. Optimistic, sociable, and intellectually curious. They collect hobbies, interests, and random facts the same way other people collect souvenirs. Air personalities are adaptable and creative. They're usually excellent communicators and tend to thrive in environments where they're free to explore new concepts and perspectives. They're often imaginative, humorous, and highly social. Conversations with air personalities can jump from philosophy to internet culture to ancient history in the span of 15 minutes without warning. Their greatest strength is curiosity. Their greatest weakness is consistency. Air personalities tend to struggle with finishing what they start because new ideas are simply more exciting than old commitments. They're naturally drawn toward possibilities rather than routines. Water personalities are empathetic, compassionate, and highly reflective. They're often drawn toward art, storytelling, psychology, counseling, and anything that helps them understand human experience more deeply. Water adapts to its surroundings while maintaining its essential nature. Likewise, water personalities tend to be emotionally flexible and capable of connecting deeply with others. Their greatest challenge, however, is emotional overwhelm. When you're naturally sensitive to emotional environments, it's easy to absorb more than you can comfortably carry. Water personalities often struggle with boundaries and may prioritize other people's emotional needs over their own. At this point, you're probably trying to figure out which element describes you the most. The truth is, according to Renaissance philosophy, very few people are purely one temperament. Most of us are mixtures of multiple elemental qualities, with one or two simply being more dominant than the others. If you're trying to identify yours, don't ask yourself who you are on your best day. Ask yourself who you are consistently, especially under stress. Ask yourself, when I have a goal, do I immediately take action and become impatient if things move too slowly? Fire. Do I naturally prefer structure, stability, and planning before making decisions? Earth. Am I constantly curious, jumping between ideas and interests, sometimes struggling to commit to one thing? Air. Am I deeply affected by emotions, both my own and other people's, and naturally drawn toward understanding human behavior? Water. You can also think about what other people repeatedly tell you about yourself. Are you too intense? That's probably fire. Are you too serious or too cautious? That's probably earth. Are you all over the place but really creative? Welcome to air. Are you too sensitive or too empathetic? Water is waving at you. The most interesting question isn't which element you like the most, it's which element keeps showing up throughout your life, even when you're not trying to be that person. And if you're still confused, don't worry. Ancient personality systems rarely exist in isolation. In fact, one of my favorite personality systems from Eastern philosophy approaches this question from an entirely different perspective. While researching ancient personality systems, I realized something fascinating. The West wasn't the only civilization trying to understand human nature through elemental forces. In Chinese metaphysics, there's an incredibly detailed system known as BaZi, or the 4 pillars of destiny. Instead of categorizing people using 4 temperaments, BaZi analyzes your birth date and time through the 5 elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, to understand personality traits, strengths, weaknesses, relationships, career tendencies, and even different life cycles. What's fascinating is that despite being developed independently from Renaissance occult philosophy, both systems are ultimately trying to answer the same questions. Why are we the way we are? What are our natural strengths and weaknesses? Which environments help us thrive? What kinds of relationships are likely to challenge or support us? The similarities are honestly uncanny. The reason I haven't gone too deeply into BaZi in this video is because it deserves an entire video of its own. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack. Unlike today's personality test that can be completed in 5 minutes online, BaZi is an incredibly nuanced system that takes into account not only your elemental makeup, but also the timing and interactions of those elements throughout your life. So if that's something you'd like to see, let me know in the comments because I'm already planning a dedicated deep dive into it. And if you're curious about your own BaZi chart before that video comes out, I do offer personal BaZi readings. You can send me a DM on Instagram if you'd like me to take a look at your chart and explain your elemental composition, personality tendencies, relationship dynamics, and the areas of life that may come more naturally or require more conscious effort for you. I'll leave my Instagram in the description below. Ironically, I think Renaissance philosophy approached personality in a healthier way than much of modern internet culture. Today, personality labels often become identities. I'm just like this. This is who I am. That's my personality. Renaissance thinkers would have disagreed. The purpose of understanding your temperament wasn't to limit yourself. It was to cultivate balance. If fire made you impulsive, you learned patience. If earth made you overly cautious, you practiced courage. If air made you scattered, you developed discipline. If water made you emotionally overwhelmed, you learned boundaries. Personality wasn't destiny. It was simply the material you had been given to work with. The goal wasn't self-categorization, it was self-transformation.